Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Daphne from Craftydust, and in today's video we are diving deep into the Christmas theme and we are making 4 budget-friendly Christmas DIYs that are sustainable, eco-friendly and zero waste. By the way guys, all 4 DIYs were super easy to make and they make my house not only look but also smell like Christmas because clove and cinnamon dominate the living room, and honestly, yum, I love cinnamon. I used a lot of edible materials to create these DIYs because after the holidays I'm planning on eating a lot of my Christmas decor, but my general idea was to create decor that I could either use every year, eat or consume in some way, or that would create zero waste. And talking about Christmas decor, my first ever YouTube video was published almost a year ago, and honestly I can't believe how far I've come in terms of personal development. If you want to laugh about my awkwardness, go ahead and watch that video. It is so embarrassing, I can't even watch it, but it is my eco-friendly DIY Christmas tree and decor, which I am also using this year, so if you're into sustainable decor, you might find it helpful and definitely enjoyable. So without further ado, let's get into today's DIYs. To create my orange candle, I added some water in a pot and put it on the highest heat. I placed a glass in the pot. This glass is from my finished IKEA candle, and added 5 tea light candles. I let the water boil and waited for the candles to melt, stirring with a wooden skewer once in a while. While the candles were melting, I took some cotton cord and made a knot on the bottom. I cut the excess and then placed it in a half-sliced orange peel to measure the length of the cord. I cut the excess and then dipped the cord in the melted wax. Then I hot glued the bottom of the cord on the center of the orange peel and made sure that the knot was hot glued as well, and then I used a wooden skewer to wrap the excess cord. When the wax had fully melted, I removed the pot from the heat and removed all the wicks and iron parts from it. I cut some rosemary into smaller pieces, some cinnamon and a few cloves, which I will be adding in my candle, and then I poured some of the wax in the orange peel so that it was full by about 3/4. I let the wax dry for a few minutes so that the pieces don't sink in, and then I placed the cinnamon, cloves and rosemary in the candle using some tweezers to sort of put them into place or move them around. When I was happy with how it looked, I poured some more wax to cover all the pieces, and then I let it fully dry for a few hours, and when the wax had fully dried, I removed the skewer and cut the excess cord, and that completes this DIY orange candle. I think this DIY is also a great gift. It smells so good once the wax melts and all the aromas are released, and I think it looks super pretty as well, but just a heads up, burn them quickly or they might attract mold. For this project, I will be using some dried oranges and apples, so I sliced 3 oranges into about 0.5 to 1 centimeter thick slices. I placed them on a baking sheet on a baking tray, and then I patted both sides with a kitchen roll to absorb most of the moisture. I sprinkled some ground clove and cinnamon on both sides, and then I placed it in a preheated oven on 120 degrees Celsius on fan. For the apples, I did exactly the same thing as with the oranges. I sliced them a little thinner than the oranges, I would say no more than 0.5 centimeters. Placed them on a baking sheet, and then I sprinkled some clove and cinnamon on both sides and added them in the oven as well. I made a large batch because I used them in my other two DIYs, as you will see later on. I baked them for an hour and a half, and I also flipped them halfway through. My dad ended up eating the leftover apples and he really liked them, so that could also be a nice treat if you'd like something like that. And get ready for your whole house to smell like Christmas. I also cut some greenery from my yard. I cut some bay leaf, some rosemary, and some mastic leaves, all of which I will be using in the other two DIYs. This project was so easy to make and it turned out so pretty and smells so nice. I took a tray I DIY'd over the summer. It doesn't really feel Christmassy, so I covered it with greenery. I started with the bay leaves, and there really isn't a right or wrong way to do this. I just covered the whole surface and then I added some mastic leaves, but of course you can use any leaves you want, and I just placed them pretty much all over. Then I added some rosemary and a pine cone on each side. The only, I guess, strategy I followed was to make all four sides even, and then I added 4 chestnuts and 4 walnuts, which I am planning on eating after Christmas. And I also added the other half of the orange peel from the previous DIY, and that also created some beautiful contrast between the bright orange and all the dark colors. I threw in a few cinnamon sticks, and then I added the apple and orange slices, and last but not least I added a tea light candle in the orange peel, and that completes this DIY Christmas decorative tray. For my zero waste wreath, I started off with some bay leaf branches, and I'm slightly bending the endings so that they start taking a rounded shape, and I am tying the 2 branches with some twine. Then I am adding 1 more piece, and I'm also tying the ends together so that I have the circular shape of the wreath. So now that I have my basic shape, I am adding some mastic leaves on top to give it some more volume and variety, always using some jute cord to tie everything together. I cut some excess leaves, and then I added some pine needles I cut from a tree in the neighborhood, 1 on either side, and right above them I added a pine cone, again 1 on either side. I added a few more pine needles to make it a little bit fuller, and then on the top part of the wreath I added a few rosemary twigs, and last but not least I hot glued a few of the dried apples and oranges on the bottom, and that completes this DIY zero waste Christmas wreath. For my DIY eco-friendly garland, I will be creating some air-dry clay ornaments, and I took a piece of clay, dipped it in water and kneaded until it was soft and good to work with. I used a rolling pin to roll out the clay, and then I used a wine glass to carve the bubbles. I could have used any other round object, but this one had exactly the shape and size I wanted. I smoothed out the edges with some water, and then I placed them on a parchment paper and smoothed out their surface as well. I opened a hole with a straw so I can pass the twine through later on, and then I created my designs. So I created 3 versions, or rather the same version with 3 different leaves. One with rosemary, one with pine needles, and one with a mastic leaf. So I placed each leaf on each bubble and went through it with the rolling pin. I applied a tiny bit of pressure, but not enough so I don't ruin the shape of the clay. And then I made more bubbles of each version. After a couple of days, when the clay had completely dried, I sanded the edges of the bubbles with a 120 grit sandpaper, making sure I have a smooth and nicely shaped outline. Then I took a long piece of cord to attach my decorations. Again, there is no particular technique regarding how I put everything together. I just made a knot on either side of the bubbles so that they don't move around when hanging. And I mixed and matched all of my decorations and made sure they were evenly spread. I used some dried oranges and apples on which I created a small opening on the top with a toothpick, large enough so that the twine can go through, some cinnamon sticks, some pine cones, some bay leaves, some rosemary twigs, and any leftover materials I had, I added on my Christmas tree. I think it ended up looking so cute and original, but most of all, I like that it looks handmade and matches the rest of my handmade decor in the living room. Honestly, it was so easy to make, and if you noticed, I used more or less the same materials in my last 3 DIYs. It's amazing how you can create 3 different decor pieces for 3 different uses or parts of the room and keep it so budget friendly. So when I tied the final knot, I hang it right above my entrance door, and it gives a kind of rustic boho look, which I love. I just think it is so pretty. And these, you guys, were my sustainable Christmas DIYs. I hope you enjoyed them. Let me know which one your favorite was in the comment section down below. Mine definitely has to be the orange candle. I've made 3 of them. I've gifted one of them, and I have burned another one, so I have only one left. And I do have to say, it's not only visually pretty, but it also smells so good. So if you liked my eco-friendly Christmas crafts, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more home decor and DIY content, and also click on the notification bell to get notified whenever a new video comes out. So that's it for today. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and if you're not celebrating, you're probably not watching that video, but if you are, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!